What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are continuing work on your awesome 2003 CR250 giveaway bike. Yes, it's a giveaway bike. If you're new, my name is Charles. I own mXrevival, specialize in building giveaway bikes for you guys to win. You'll learn more about that as the show goes on. Today we've got three things we need to touch on for your CR250 build. The first one is your transmission's back. I sent it out to Josh and the crew at CRYO HEAT. Once again, they absolutely crushed it. It looks amazing. It's been toughened up. It's had years of durability added into it, and it's been micro polished. We're going to go ahead and take a look at that, the before and after, and we're going to assemble it and drop it in your engine cases together. So that's going to be the meat and potatoes of today's show. Not only that, but your airbox came back as well. My buddy Phil Cox at Plastic Renovations. Oh my goodness, this thing, absolutely unreal. We're going to look at the before and after for this as well. I'll show you guys where to find him, where to find CRYO HEAT and everyone else. Unreal, Uncle Phil. And of course, a new YouTube video means more trick parts for your bike. I'm happy to welcome ARC to the party. This is one of my newest build team members here. They sent some ultra trick controls, so we'll touch on that too. And of course, one of the levers is for your Austrian Brembo setup on your Japanese bike. So you're gonna bite like hell. The last thing I need to do, which I guess that makes it 4 items, is we need to go ahead and pick a winner for the Velocity Components Grease Puck Tool. If you guys are mXrevival monthly members, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and pick one of you guys right now, find out who won that tool. Now, if you're not a member and you'd like to become a member, it's 15 bucks a month. It's called mXrevival Monthly. Every single month, I give away an MX part, product, service, tool, whatever it may be. And when these bikes are done, they're going to you guys. So every month that a bike is not done, I'm giving away, like I said, part, product, service, tool. And let's go find out who the lucky grease puck winner is right this minute, and then we're going to jump into everything else. All right, so let's go pick a winner for this awesome Velocity Components Grease Puck Tool. Also going to send you guys these stem bearing tool as well. So this is a nice little kit you're going to get. Showed it off in previous videos. Check them out when you have some free time, and then we're going to jump into this engine. If you missed last episode, we installed all your transmission bearings, your crank bearings, and all the seals. So it's ready for a crank. It's ready for a transmission. I'll leave links below for that as well, so you can get caught up. Got a little grease on the old phalanges there. Now let's go ahead and jump into our lucky winner. Let's see who it is. Now, you guys have watched me pick these in the past. I've got my full name list here. We've got subscription name, customer name, subscription status, and subscription numbers. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys with double subscriptions. They're going to be down here at the bottom so that they're counted twice. I just copy and paste it down there. And normally I show you the whole back end and this and that. I think you guys probably trust me pretty well by now. You can always get a recap in a previous video how this is done, but I have 140 members. We're going to copy this list here. You can see that is 141. That is because, as always, top slots taken by these criteria here. I've already got your names in this random name picker here. There you can see 140. You're already shuffled. We'll give it a few more shuffles for good measure. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to pick a winner for the grease puck tool. I'm trying to cut down on the time that this takes so I don't bore you guys to death. We got some other stuff to get to. So who's it going to be? I think it's a 3-second delay. Grease puck winner, Joey McDaniel. I'm looking at it through the back of my camera. Congrats, dude. You got a grease puck tool. Thing kicks ass. I will hit you up. Thank you so much for being an mXrevival monthly member. Everyone say big props to him in the comments below. Let's go ahead and jump back into all the rad stuff that came for your beautiful CR250. Good job, Joey. Congrats. This is one of my favorite tools in the entire shop. We use it in the shop only, okay? I know what you're thinking. Fuck, I can't put that in there. Oh. Joey, congrats. This is one of my favorite tools in the entire shop. It's just such a cool specialty tool to have, and I really hope you enjoy it. So I'll be reaching out to you. Let's go ahead and jump into the rest of today's video. I think I want to start with those ARC controls. Now, these new levers, super trick. They are like factory bits for a mortal like myself. They got the safety wire ties on them. The perch for the clutch is machined billet. There's a ton of adjustability lockout. We're not going to go into all the full details right now. I just wanted to show you that they're here and they're going to go on your bike with your Brembo brakes, of course. They were kind enough to send a second set of levers for my 24 YZ250 so that I could test them myself and get a feel for them. I love it when companies reach out and they want to be a part of this. It's very flattering, but I also don't want to ramble on about it without having actually tried it myself too. So I asked if I could procure a set so I could rave about them, right? So I can tell you that I rode with the clutch lever last weekend. It's awesome, but like I said, we'll also go into more details and give these guys some more show time when we install these on your CR. And I think I have a set. Maybe I just have the set for the YZ, but they'll be back again, and they also have brake lines. So I'm stoked about that. These are the composite with texture. So there's like some stippling, almost like a handgun grip on the levers. I'm excited for you guys. These are super cool, of course. You can't break them, and we'll get more into it soon. Let's go ahead and jump into the airbox. Uncle Phil sent something insane. Thank you, ARC. Someone leave me a comment below. Okay, this bad boy here, this is the completely refinished, refurbished airbox, obviously, for your 03 CR250. This is one of the worst airboxes I had ever laid eyes on. Years and years and years and years of abuse, crashes on the trails. I know where this bike came from. I know the history of this bike, and I can't believe what Uncle Phil was able to do with this thing. Now, I'm not exactly sure what coating he's using, but I want you guys to know when you're doing these restos where you can go to get this done to your airbox. This is usually the part of a bike build that you can no longer buy. So as you can see, not really a big deal. Uncle Phil at Plastic Renovations, I call him Uncle Phil, will take care of you guys. This is absolutely unreal. Links below for Phil. He doesn't just do this to airboxes. He can take plastics from like 86, whatever it might be, some bike you can't get plastics for anymore, some vintage bike you're building. He hand sands them, polishes them back up, and they look easily better than factory. They look wet. The gloss is insane. So Uncle Phil, thank you for being a part of this build. Can't wait to do some more work with you, and I hope you're doing well out there in Nevada, bro. At any rate, this belongs to you, so you're welcome. So we've gone ahead and knocked out your Velocity Components winner. Congrats again, Joey. We talked about your controls briefly. They're going to be on your CR. We checked out your insane airbox from Uncle Phil at Plastic Renovations. It's time to jump into your tranny. Now, if you're intimidated by trannies, just remember, they're people too. You can't say that, man. Well, I'm going to hell. At any rate, let's get into your transmission. Guys, unbelievable. CRYO HEAT once again knocked this out of the park. Your entire transmission, like I said, has had a durability added into it. I use the term hardened. I know they don't particularly like that because it makes it sound like brittle. That is not the case. Basically, CRYO HEAT takes gears, cogs, clutches, cylinders, whatever it is you might want to add life into. They crack test it to make sure the part is even suitable for their procedure, because they're not going to send your parts through and then it break when you get it back. So there are some proactive measures beforehand. Then they go ahead and harden. I'm sorry, Josh. Correct me, brother. Josh owns CRYO HEAT. All the parts and then micro polish them. So if you've watched any of this in previous episodes, you guys know that this is going to add a bunch of life into your parts. Just look at that. It's beautiful. Especially parts you can't find anymore, like these CR250s. Second and third gear is becoming more and more elusive, if I remember correctly. And so now we have gears that are going to last longer. It might not be such a big deal if you guys can't find what you're looking for, like RM250, 97, second gear driven, second gear drive, fourth gear driven. Can't find them anywhere. If you find a good donor bike, for example, or your bike build is in okay condition, you can get some more life out of it by sending these to CRYO HEAT. They also did some extra parts. We've got your kick shaft here. We've got your segment, your pizza cutter, everything else, the shift mechanism for the shifting side of your transmission. Today we're going to focus on the main shaft, secondary shaft, all the gears, drum, fork pins and forks. We're going to put that in your engine, so you'll be able to see this thing glistening and gleaming the whole time. And as you can see before, it looked terrible, or it just looked normal. But now this thing is going to shift more smoothly. It's going to last longer. Reduced friction means more power. Reduced friction also means less heat, which is the more power part. And it's always been a pleasure to work with you guys, CRYO HEAT. So thank you for making these builds unreal. Let's go ahead and install this transmission, or build it step by step. I'm going to show you what I do before I take one apart and send it out, so that you guys can see how I know how to put it back together. Your manual, your service manual helps. By the way, if you guys need an 02, 03 Honda CR250 service manual, I'll send you one for free. I actually have the service manual download, and these pictures that I'm putting up right now that we're going to get into, the things I'm using to put these transmissions back together. I have access to those too. Obviously, you can take those too if you have a CR250. I'd be happy to send you those photos so you can see the flow of the cogs onto the shafts. It'd be my pleasure. So reach out. I'll get them to you. And one last thing before we start, the reason that this is important, aside from putting your transmission back together properly, is maybe you can see this gear has more of a cut here in the back. This one's more shallow. Otherwise, these two gears look identical. They have the same amount of teeth, and they would probably install interchangeably onto the transmission shafts. However, they don't belong on the same shaft. And this is one of those things you need to look out for. Of course, you got washers, where the washers go here, there, so the thing shifts. But inside the Honda Trans, knowing where each of these goes, if you haven't done it a ton of times, which I've not done so many trannies. Oh, here we go again. I've not done so many that this is automatic, but for the most part, they all go together the same way. This would be one of those things where the pictures come in super, super handy. So like I said, I have those. If you're a CR guy, I got you covered. Let's go ahead and put this thing together, show you the tools, the things you need, a little bit of grease, and get it installed in your engine. Okay, here we are on the bench with your glistening transmission. Absolutely gorgeous. One more thing I'd like to add, this stuff always comes back packed so nicely. Nothing can move in the boxes when they send it back, and because it's raw steel, every single one of these items came back individually wrapped in plastic bags that have oil in them too, so they don't corrode on your way home. All this other stuff in bags, like right now we'll need the washers, we will need these bushings, we will not need the clutch bushing, idler, kick shaft, or any of the actual shifting mechanisms right now. Let's go ahead and talk about what we need. A little bit of assembly grease, stuff helps a lot, getting everything slicked up. We also need some contact cleaner. I've been using the heck out of this Tusk contact cleaner. It works great, keep my hands clean. I've got a couple brand new transmission clips, Honda OEMs, and you need these no matter what if you're pulling a transmission apart. Don't use your old clips. There's only 3 of these suckers in the whole thing, so don't be cheap. And then I've got some snap ring pliers, circlip removers, whatever you like to call them. Those are ready to go. And the first thing we're gonna wanna do, let's see, we don't need the shift shaft either, though it is fun to look at because look at that, you could damn near see yourself in it. Don't need that right now. I'm gonna go ahead and segregate the parts by shaft, cogs by shaft, etc., washers, bushings, so we can build one shaft at a time. Now, in order to do that, I mentioned to you guys I have some drawings, or pictures rather. When these come apart, and like I said, you guys are welcome to these as well. I take photos before I send them out so I know where the hell everything's going on the way back. The manual backs this up because I actually wrote in these photos back to that set of gears. The 2 gears have the same tooth count, but a slightly deeper cut in the rear. I wrote shallow and deep backwards on my papers like a dumbass. So we'll get some towels and we will go ahead and separate all this stuff so we can build these. Again, some more things we don't need. We don't need forks right now. We don't need fork pins right now. And we don't need the drum right now. Look at that sucker. Beautiful. We also don't need the clutch push rod. So what we're left with is what we're building. Let's go ahead and start with the primary shaft. Now the primary shaft is the one in your engine that's going to have your clutch basket affixed to it here on this end. It always has first gear solidly integrated into it as well, at least in every motorcycle I've worked on. And it does not have the drive sprocket on it. That would be the secondary shaft. Just so a little breakdown before we go. This one will have the sprocket here on the outside, and it does not have a first gear integrated into it. So that's a really easy way to ID these and see what you're talking about straight away. So let's go ahead and put the main shaft here, primary shaft here. I'm just going to follow my little drawings, save for the screw up I put on the deep versus shallow, and get all this stuff organized. I'll start with the gears and then move into all the little washers and bushings. Speaking of which, here are the washers and bushings. I may as well and go ahead and get all of these new circlips removed as well. Get those ready to go. Got 1, 2, 3, making it rain up in here. So now I'll get to work. I've got my picture here. I've got what it says is the shallow of these two here on this gear. It's not, so it's the deeper. And in the manual, like I said, when this thing goes on, it actually shows this shoulder being bumped out just slightly in the back and pushing itself away from this first gear. So if it wasn't for that, I could have perhaps installed these backward. Let's see if they're the same diameter. They're identical. Inside the ID there is identical. So you can definitely put that on in the wrong spot. So the deeper goes on that bad boy. We'll just lay it out like my picture. Got this guy next. Then I've got, looks like this bad boy. Another thing you might find handy, you can see all the little cuts, these ovalized cuts in the back. That's giving this one away. You can also count the teeth. I don't think I saw a tooth count in the Honda manual. Some manuals give you a tooth count on these gears, which is also helpful. And then second gear, there she is. There's only one that looks like this, no matter what. So that is 5 gears. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we are on to the secondary shaft, and we are going to grab that paper. Where she be? There it is. So this one has gears on both sides. So there is, in these pictures if you want them, a divider line I put in here to give myself a little reference for that. Looks like I've got this guy here, this guy here. Boom. Then I've got the larger slider gear here. Then I've got this sucker here, followed by the smaller slider, and then the first gear, which is the largest on the opposing shaft. So it looks like these are laid out properly. You can always double check, count, look things over. The pictures help so much. I think this is perfect right now the way it is. We just have to lay out all these clips and washers. Some more bushings. And these here, that's your shift pawls. We don't need those right now. Little stuff to lose. I know that this one is for the idler gear, so we don't need that right now. And the rest of these are going to go inside this transmission. I'm going to go ahead and move all this stuff out of the way so we can get an up-close view together of what's happening. All right, let's go ahead and get this primary shaft laid out with the washers and the bushings that it needs. So looks like I don't have any bushings on this particular. Oh, there is one. Okay, I see. So we've got a washer, which appears to be this one to me in my photo. Doesn't look the same anymore because it's so beautifully micro polished. Then we've got our second gear. Then we've got a gigantic washer, pretty easy to ID, followed by this gear, followed by one of these splined washers. There are 3 of those. They all look the same to me, followed by a clip, followed by a slider gear, followed by another clip, and then another splined washer, and then another gear. So you can see how handy this photo is. They're laid out identical to one another, so take photos. Now the last thing is a bushing for this cog right here. That's the only one that fits in there. So I am left with, I'll show you guys what's left so we can see what's going on the other side. A few more bits and pieces. I'm going to set those aside with that other shaft for now, and we're going to build this one. All right, here we go. We're going to go ahead and build this sucker. We're just going to put this together exactly like the picture shows. You can see why it's handy, but first actually we need to put a little bit of the Maxima assembly grease on this bad boy. Once things get moving for the first time and before there's any oil in there, this is really going to help out quite a bit. Some of you are probably getting aroused by this, sickos. Now we've got this gear here with the dogs on one side, and then this is the deeper of the two, as mentioned earlier. Obviously, well, it'll become obvious as we go. You're not going to put it on that direction because there's nothing to lock into those dogs. And then also the manual will show you this is the one that is pushed off of first gear ever so slightly by that deeper cut in the rear. So without dropping it, I will put it on the shaft there, followed by one of our little splined washers. Stuff looks so nice. And then we've got a clip. Now, as some of you remember, the clips are, when they're manufactured, are probably punched out of something, and so that gives them a really soft side and a really sharp side. So you want to have the sharp side facing out, or the way that the gear might be able to come loose, you want to put the sharp side facing the same direction as a general rule of thumb, so that in the event this gear were on the end, it would be less likely to pop off. And I've also never seen it happen, but just be aware that there's a sharp and a soft side on these clips. So take that clip, give you guys a better view if I can, and then you just get your snap ring pliers, and there are a couple of teeth in there you can jump into. Hopefully you can see this all right. And then try to keep this thing as even as possible as it goes down. They like to flex and torsion and spin, and I'm just getting that thing started. And then I got to get over this first groove, which is where another clip is going to live, and that's where things kind of start to get a little out of hand as far as torsioning and wobbling go. So she's on there, and let's see, maybe you can hear the snap. There it is. So that gear is now retained, and the sharp side is also that direction. Now we have this slider gear here. It's only going to go on in one direction, and I'll show you that there does not engage the dogs in this gear here. So we know it's on backwards. We want those dogs to engage each other. This slider is going to be able to drive into or fit into the back of that gear. Come on, there we go. So there we have a lockup freewheel and a lockup where these dogs, when flipped around, cannot engage the others in this gear here. So that's in the right spot. Then we have another clip per our diagram. So again, get your clip on the top with the sharp side pointing up in this case. Get my handy little snap ring pliers here. And then once again, there you go. She's retained all the way around. Now that gear is captive. It's calling for yet another splined washer that's going to ride up against that clip. And we've got another gear here. This is the one that had the bushing in it. So you can see the splines inside that bushing are going to ride on the shaft, and then that gear will ride on that bushing like so. Of course, it's backwards, right? Because these guys can't grab onto one another. You can see the dogs on the other side. If you'd want to flip that, now these two can mate, for lack of a better word. You can see how this gear is on double duty. It engages on one side and the other. Now we've got a giant ass washer, and that's the only washer I believe I have. You can double check that will fit there. Yep, this other big bastard won't even go on there. The ID is too small. That is followed by second gear right here. And what I need to do is double check which direction second gear is going to face. That's something I don't recall. I believe that when I would pull these off the shafts, I would lay them down, pull another gear off, lay them down, face down, face down, face down. So I'll look into that and double check. But aside from that, there's your last washer. Actually, that one's got maybe a little slop in it. Let's see if I've got another one. It looks like the one in the photo. And that one fits also, but it's too skinny. So that's my only other option, that guy right there. So that shaft is built and ready to be installed. So earlier when I was making a tasteless joke about being intimidated by transmissions, don't be. They're really not that big of a deal. I understand why. This was one of those things that I wasn't scared to get into, but I just wasn't getting into very often. And now it happens pretty often with these full builds. Actually, every single bike, including the customer bikes. So you get better at it, you get less intimidated, your pictures help you, your manuals help you. It's not that big of a deal. You know, you just have to be thorough so you don't put something out of order or miss something, and then you check shifting before the engine's all closed anyway. So don't be scared of it. Tusk. So here we go. We've got our shaft, and then we've got our washer. Looks like that guy there. And then we've got this gigantic sucker, followed by that other big boy, that other big washer. And then we've got from there, that jumps over to the other side. We've got this bad boy here. We're forgetting our paint, so we'll go ahead and do that first. Yes, that's going to go on there. Paint this thing. A little bit of paint on the splines. Assembly grease. I'll link all this stuff below too for you guys. Got a bushing that goes over here. Got our shaft. This gear, this very fine washer, tiny little guy. Another gear. Another splined washer. And what's next? We've got another slider. And we've got a skinnier washer. Okay, let's assemble this thing. We're looking good. We've got a bushing. Oops, we've got a washer. Excuse me. Followed by a bushing. Followed by a gear. And I can tell that the end of the shaft here, this is going to live on a transmission bearing. And so certainly those would not face towards the wall of the case. They're going to face towards a slider gear that's going to be on this shaft. Now we've got a slider. Looks like this can only engage one direction. You've only got dogs on one side. Pretty precise fit, as you can see. Come on. Do it now. You know you want to. So we've got our engagement there. Free, engaged. And we've got a washer. And that butts up against that area there. Perfect. Got our shallow 23 tooth there. The one I almost put on the wrong shaft because I had my writing crisscrossed. Then we got one of those spliny washers there, and there's just enough room left in there for a clip. So this is going to be basically fixed exactly where it is. Go ahead and get our clip. So one thing you can do with this clip here, everything is going to want to fall off the ass of this shaft here, the first items we put on. However, this first slider won't fall off, so you can put that on later if it's easier. Just trying to show the right order here. As you can see, that's certainly simpler than trying to juggle all this stuff. Got our clip here, sharp side up. And we'll install it. Listen for the clip. There it is. Double check all the way around that it is in that clip groove, and we're solid. So next up we've got another slider gear here. This can go on backwards. You'll be able to see if it's on the right way by whether or not it engages with the previous gear. Sometimes they'll engage anyways. So if we flip it, let's see. Yep, still engages. So I got to double check that that's in the right spot. Then we've got this washer here. Then we've got our bushing here. And we've got our last cog. You can tell from some little bits of wear and also the shape which direction this one faces from having previously engaged with those bad boys. As a test, let's see if this will go on backwards and engage with both gears, excuse me. Got a washer, got a bushing, got a cog. There it is. And it engages with that as well, although it engages much better. So that may be the proper orientation. I will need to double check that slider right there, and that's where the manual comes in handy. Otherwise, that would go back on. Then you got your washer again on the other side, bushing, gear, and final washer that rides on that case wall, aka transmission bearing. All right, so we are all set. I went ahead and double checked the manual. This slider gear and this slider gear have grooves that are facing each other inward here, and so the engagement, washers, etc. are all correct. This guy here we just tested backwards, although it would fit, would have been backwards. So again, this fork groove here and this fork groove here, they are facing each other or closest to each other as possible. Now we can get this sucker here without dropping our washers, of course, and mesh these suckers together. And something I noticed is that they'll be, when installed correctly, and this may work even if they're not, the edges of the teeth are directly in line with each other. I mean dead nuts directly in line with each other. And so are the washers. This side back here doesn't have a washer, but part of the shaft has a machined area that looks exactly like a washer that's affixed to this first gear. And that is exactly in line with this washer on the end over here. So pretty much going to be dead nuts square in the case of the CR250. Now, something else I learned from someone I no longer work with, but I'm still grateful to know, is that first gear on the primary shaft is going to be the smallest, as we touched on, but it's going to get bigger every gear from then on. So first gear, second gear, let's see, third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear, and they are also in line like so. So that would be the largest on this one. First gear, second gear over here, let's see, third gear, fourth gear, and fifth gear, the smallest over here on the secondary shaft. So hopefully that makes sense. It's basically the opposite of one another. I thought that was really cool. And now this sucker is ready to drop into your engine, so why don't we go do that? All right, guys, here we are on the bench with your trusty, fully rebuilt, fully tricked out CR250 engine. Now all I need to do is get this case half separated. Just a couple of bolts holding her down, and we can go ahead and install your transmission, shift drum, and forks. Now, all of your bearings, like I said, were installed in a previous video. See them all in there. If you want to learn how to install bearings, check that video out. I will link it below. Brand new Japanese CRYO bearings from All Balls that come with the bearings and seals. Really, really cool. And of course, everything's been vapor blasted and it's better than new. All the bearings have been pre-lubricated with some Maxima assembly lube, not assembly grease. And your transmission's going to go right on in here. So let's go ahead and jump into that now. Also, just to back up real quick, we talked about second gear being on the right side or not, and I'll show you. There's a little relief cut in the back of that gear, and that does face out. And I leaned on the manual to figure that out rather than this flat side. So this is the right direction. We had it on properly. So the primary shaft, the one with the fixed first gear on it, is going to go into the forwardmost hole. Secondary shaft in the back here. Crankshaft, as this is rotating, has a gear on the end of it, which rotates the clutch basket gear, which is affixed on the end. The entire clutch pack, basket, hub, all that stuff, pressure plate rides on this shaft on the end, if you're not familiar. So we'll jump back into a little bit of that Maxima assembly grease, and we will drop some in these bearings here. Helps out a lot. You can also do that on the ends of the shafts if you would like so. It may even help keep your washers glued on. Now, something that might be helpful to note is that you have the shaft ends where the actual sprocket that your chain hooks up to goes, and then, like we just talked about, the clutch basket, clutch assembly on the end of that, they're going to oppose each other. So it's going to look like this in every circumstance, and no washer here, but we do have a washer on this one, on the secondary shaft, sort of glued on with some grease now. Just go ahead and drop them all in together. If you know that stuff is there, you can drop those in, and once the secondary in the rear is started into that bearing, the washer can fall. That's totally fine. Kind of tough to get your fingers out of there. It'll drop right in. And this one needs to drop in a little more. The teeth will mesh. And so does this one. There it is. And this lockup, someone asked on TikTok, is that normal? Yes. These gears are sort of stuck meshing together until we install the drum and until we install all 3 forks, and that's what we're going to do next. This part is done. Make sure these washers don't fall off. All right, it's time to go ahead and get the drum installed. That guy is going to live in this drum bearing down here. Might be a little dark, hard to see. You want to go ahead and install it with this side. There'll be a locating pin and a bolt in there facing towards the clutch side, like so. When we finally do it, just a little note, and that thing's pre-greased. It's going to go in nice and easy. I'm going to rock this back so I can get the forks to stay in without sliding. And then one more thing I like to do, we get a little bit more of that grease, and there are some holes down in here that these pins for the forks are going to live in. Just get a little bit of grease smeared around in those bad boys, so those are primed and ready. You'll have those same holes on the other engine case as well. Now it's time to install the forks. Now, honestly, I've seen someone install these out of order and the bike not shift, but for the most part, these cuts or these cusps here, they're only going to fit into the slider gears a certain way. Also, every single one of these pins is going to be facing the drum because it needs to go inside the drum to get toggled around by the drum when you're shifting your bike. So I hope that makes sense, and I'll try and capture that now. Like, you can wing it, right? There's one there, and we know these pins need to face inwards, so lower one first. There's one down there. Doesn't even fit, so that's the only place it can go. Let's try this other one. And you don't need to wing it, but I'm just trying to prove a point. They also say R and L on them in some cases, right and left. Not always. KTM has dots. But look, we just sort of winged it, and that's pretty much where they all go. This one wouldn't fit on the other side. This one wouldn't fit below. Like I said, that cutout is only going to fit certain slider gears. So those are pretty much in, although a little bit of grease couldn't hurt. So a little grease in there. So hopefully you can see that it's not really intimidating or scary or hard. Like, they're not even going to work a certain way. Like in this case, these can't work any way but the correct way. So don't be scared of these things. We got our forks back in. We got them all greased up. Now we're going to go ahead and put in the drum. And this thing, even though all this stuff is slick as snot already, it's a great idea to just add a little bit more grease into all these channels. Those little pins on the forks I showed you that needed to face in, those are going to ride in all these grooves. So this is really going to help when you're doing your test shifting by hand. It'll help those forks pins slide through this drum very easily. Sometimes when they're not lubed, it's a little dry, and you kind of feel like you're stuck and maybe you have something out of order in the transmission. It's usually just because they can't slide through these very easily. So you drop your drum in, and you're going to be able to see that there are 3 channels, right? So let's see. These guys here, these 2 channels, as you go around, they stick to themselves. They don't merge with any other channel. You can tell it's a fork above and a fork below, and then they stop. Same in the middle. That channel in the middle goes around. Only one fork can go in there, and only one fork pin in one location at a certain height can go in there as well. So upper, middle, lower. Go ahead and, like I said, point that hole and locating pin hole towards the clutch side. And then all you have to do is lift these up a little bit and put them in those channels I just showed you. So toggle them up. Sometimes it helps to put this top one in after. Lift that up in the bottom, put it in the channel. Take that top fork, back in the slider gear, put it in the channel, and now you can put your locating pins in. That's all there is to the transmission. I'm not trying to make it sound easy like I'm some magical wizard. You guys have all seen me come up in this game over the past several years, so you know that's not the case, but anybody can do this. There goes a locating pin. This long one goes in the back. It actually protrudes through the other side of the case into the clutch side, and it becomes a post that the shift shaft integrates with. Short one goes up here. This guy fell out of his groove, but there you go. That's in. That's done. And now you can actually watch these pins on these forks go through these channels, lock to lock, inside the drum. And that pretty much tells you right then and there that your shifting is fine, at least so far as I've ever noticed. But this thing, I'm able to roll it through by hand, even covered with grease. A, because the micro polish from CRYO HEAT, and B, because all the grease we put in the drum. So, like I said, this pretty much verifies that the shifting is working. You can see these are spinning freely again now that they've been relieved from one another, unlike before. And then when you close the engine case, you can test shift one more time with your shifter if you want, but pretty much that's all there is to it. Do this yourselves. Try it. You'll love it. It's so much fun. Or if you need some help, send your engine here. We'll give it the works. All right, quick recap for you guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. This stuff is so fun to do. I really hope you give it a try for yourselves. I really hope you guys send your stuff to CRYO HEAT. This thing looks insane, and it is so freaking slick. You can feel it here. Like, shifting this sucker on the track, one of you suckers is going to be real happy. So we've got an even height here. You can see the washers are also an even height. You can also see, normally you wouldn't be able to spin this drum with your hand so easily because it's so slick, covered in grease. These suckers are just going right through those channels. You can also see how gears are selected, so really cool. In fact, if this goes all the way around, that's something they will never do, like lock to lock by hand without the micro polish. I can get this thing to go all the way around, both sides, stop to stop on those pins. And there's a closer look at how that works also, the pins in those grooves. Pretty cool, right? Who came up with all this stuff? Kind of makes me feel small, and the stuff's already really old, so crazy. Now in the other engine case, I'll show you those holes as well. You guys can see down here, obviously the transmission shafts will live in those, crankshaft up in here. These are the other parts of the casting where these fork pins are going to live. So you'd want to put some more grease in those bad boys as well. Of course, the drum's going to ride in that right there on this rim here in the back. Everything is so fresh in your engine. I cannot wait to finish it and start the sucker for the first time. Last thing to do here, obviously, is the crankshaft install. I'll probably do that on TikTok. I'm having a lot of fun on TikTok. All right, guys, I really hope that helps some of you out. Like I said, super fun. Don't be intimidated. Give it a try. Use the pictures. If you need these, reach out. I'll send them to you. If you're taking yours apart, take the photos. If you need the 02, 03 CR250 service manual, not the owner's manual, but it has everything the way manuals used to be. Now, next up for your bike, obviously your engine rebuild is going to continue. Like I said, I'll do some of that on TikTok. We're going to go ahead and install that unreal airbox of yours. This thing is picture perfect. It will never look like this again. It looks better than it did when it was brand new. Also got, of course, that little sneak peek I gave you of your ARC levers. Super factory. Those are going to go on as well with your Brembos. And then, of course, I need to start installing the clutch side of your engine with all these pre-oiled bags from CRYO HEAT. The stuff, again, looks like glass. Josh, crew, you guys killed it. Thank you so much for doing all these bike builds with me. Your support is not only tremendous, but it makes the bike so much cooler, and especially they're going to last a lot longer and obviously shift a lot better for whoever wins them. This is just like a little factory touch for everybody, so thank you guys. Huge congrats to you, Joey, on your Velocity Components grease puck tool and stem bearing grease tool. I didn't even mention the next month's giveaway for you mXrevival monthly members. Maybe you saw it in previous videos. I do believe I mentioned it, but Rocky Mountain sent me a brand new set of the NXT Air gear. It's the new MSR gear for summer. I've got 4 or 5, maybe 6 rides on it now. I absolutely love it. I love it so much that I went and bought one of the carbon helmets. They came out with carbon fiber helmets. They're only like 350 bucks. They've got MIPS. They're sharp as a tack. They fit perfect. You guys got to check that stuff out. Anyways, I'm giving away a set of the brand new MSR NXT Air gear as well. So for my next mXrevival monthly giveaway, let's see, we just did August? Was that August or July? No. What the hell month are we even in anymore? August. So when the month of August ends, I'm going to give away, like I said, a brand new set, pants, jersey, and gloves with your name and number on the back, of course, for my August winner of the monthly giveaways from mXrevival Monthly. Holy crap, what a mouthful. Anyway, guys, again, I hope you really enjoyed the video. I hope it was helpful. I hope you are as excited as I am to finish not only your CR250 build and giveaway, but your 04 RM250 build and giveaway as well. It's another bike that falls into the mXrevival Monthly program. Of course, there are going to be more. So if you're interested in that, I'd be so honored to have you. Your support means the world to me. Again, thank you to everyone who's already signed up. You guys are literally fueling a dream that just comes out of my little hamster wheel up here. So I appreciate that. 15 bucks a month, parts, prizes, MX services, and bike giveaways. Oh, and one more thing. Your wheels just showed up from WUSA, the wheels for the CR250. Also, your tires are here from Dunlop. I'll be showing those off in a future episode as well. Also, Weston over at RG3 Boise has your fork and your shock. You already know that's going to be sick, so just a few more things for you guys to think about, some more things to get your imaginations going. Having said all that, again, I hope you really enjoyed the video. I loved filming it for you. I don't know what it is about trannies. It was a lot of fun. Until next time, guys, shred safe, and I'll see you in the next one.